The Promise Part 9. When Lena came back from the bathroom, her face still held a quiet glow she could not hide. She had just sat down when her phone started to ring on the table. The screen flashed Mama Home. Her heart softened instantly. She glanced at Chris with an apologetic smile. "It's my mother. Give me a minute." He nodded. "Of course." She answered in her native tone, her voice suddenly lighter. "Mama, how are you?" Her mother's voice filled the room, faint through distance, but warm and alive. "We have been calling. Your cousin Sandy came here looking for you. She says she needs her money, the one she lent you for the ticket to America." Lena sighed gently, leaning against the wall. "Yes, Mama. I'll send it. Maybe not tonight, but after they pay us in 2 days. In 3 days I will send it to her, I promise. I have been a little sick. That's why I was quiet." Her mother's tone softened immediately. "Sick? You must take care of yourself, my girl. And there is something else. The landlord is asking again for the rent, and your father's medicine is almost finished." "I'll send for the upkeep, too," Lena said firmly. "When they pay me, I'll send enough for rent and for Dad's hospital checkup. Please make sure he goes this time." "All right," her mother replied, the sound of relief in her breath. "But you must also eat well. Keep warm. Don't push yourself too hard." Lena smiled. "I will, Mama. I love you, my daughter Lena. I love you too, Mama. Greet Dad for me. He went to see your uncle, but I will tell him. God keep you safe, my child." Chris had been sitting quietly, pretending to wipe the table, though his mind had followed every word. He could tell by the strain in her voice that money was tight, that she carried more weight than she let anyone see. She came back to the table and gave him a small smile. "Sorry, family talk." "Everything okay?" "Yes, just they worry." The air between them stilled again as the aroma of fish stew filled the room. Chris looked toward the pot and said, "We'll continue our game after dinner." She nodded, grateful for the distraction. They served the food together and began to eat. The warmth of the meal eased the quiet. Then Chris's phone rang. It was Mr. Lee. "Chris," the old man said, "are you coming in tomorrow?" "Yes," Chris replied quickly. "I'll be there in the morning. I'll also work for Lena, as we agreed." Across the table, Lena's spoon paused mid-air. She looked at him, a little puzzled, but said nothing. "All right," Mr. Lee said. "Don't be late." "I won't," Chris promised, then ended the call. Lena tilted her head. "You'll work for me? I didn't know you and Mr. Lee had discussed that." Chris met her eyes calmly. "You need to rest, Lena. Your body's still recovering. Let me handle the week." Chris could tell from the way Lena's eyes lowered that her thoughts were elsewhere. Though she tried to smile, the lines of worry around her mouth betrayed her. He left his seat quietly and came to kneel before her. She looked startled, but his calm, steady gaze held her still. His voice carried that deep, soothing tone that reached straight into her heart as he begged her to listen. He told her she needed to rest, that her fever had been stronger than she thought, and that her body had not yet caught up with her courage. He spoke softly, yet every word carried warmth and gravity. He admitted that he had already spoken to Mr. Lee without asking her, that he had promised to work in her place for the week, and asked for her forgiveness. It was not because he wanted to stop her from working, he said, but because he cared too deeply to watch her harm herself again. His words shook her more than she expected. The sincerity in his tone, the gentleness in his eyes, it was unlike anything she had felt before. She told him quietly to stand, but he refused until she accepted to rest. Her chest tightened as she whispered that she needed the money, that she had people back home waiting for her help. He simply looked up at her, patient, unmoving, and she felt something inside her give way. When they moved to the couch, his presence filled the small room like calm air after rain. He asked how much she needed, and she tried to smile it away, saying she could not ask him for money. But he told her he still had some savings, that he could sell his golden watch and help her clear what was pressing. She was touched, yet firm, telling him that he should keep his watch and use the money to find a better place to live. The way she said it, worried for him, left him speechless. He had not expected her to think of his comfort before her own. He smiled faintly, promising that tomorrow after work he would sell both watches and rent a small room nearby. She mentioned a house across the street with a room available, and he nodded thoughtfully. Then he asked about her apartment. Lena explained softly that Mr. Lee had given it to her after the woman she had lived with threw her out, that it once belonged to his niece in Canada. Chris listened, realizing just how kind Mr. Lee truly was. Lena smiled as she said she had never met a more generous man, and Chris found himself thinking the same about her. They decided to return to their meal, but when she turned, she caught him still gazing at her. For a long moment neither spoke, and something unspoken passed between them. Then she broke the silence and told him she would accept his help, her voice quieter now, more tender. He asked gently if the phone call earlier had been about her debt. She smiled, teasing that he had been listening. He admitted it softly and told her he deserved to be punished for that, which made her laugh, the sound lighting the room again. She told him she couldn't owe him money both at home and here. He only smiled and asked if she had ever given something freely to another person. When she nodded, he reminded her of the food she had shared, of the kindness she had shown to strangers. He asked her to accept his help in that same spirit, to receive without guilt. She looked at him with a small laugh and said he had pinned her down with his word. He smiled again, saying it was settled then. Tomorrow her debt would be cleared and she would rest without worry. Overwhelmed by everything he had just said, Lena reached out and hugged him. For a moment he held her close, feeling her heartbeat against his chest, the scent of her hair faintly sweet. Quiet and full of thoughts neither dared to speak, yet something between them had already changed. The night had deepened, but so had the warmth that bound them, silent and strong as the rain outside. Comment The Promise Part 10. If you have shared and watched till the end, thank you.